Hi friends, welcome to Loved by Cacao. This is a home for all of us who love cacao, to share our stories, to elevate the voice of cacao through voices from all around the world. Here we will connect the threads of light that cacao is weaving between us, from heart to heart. Thank you for being here. You might like to make yourself a delicious cup of cacao to enjoy while you listen, to tune in with this sacred medicine. I am Pania, lover and facilitator of cacao, and I invite you to step in through the door to this cozy home. Come to sit on a cushion in this circle together, and may we allow ourselves to be here, to be loved by cacao. Welcome back to episode 12. And surprise, Mackenzie is back with us again. If you don't know Mackenzie and her story behind her non-profit company, Kakao Drinking Chocolate, you can hear all about it in episode 7, where she shares her incredible devotion to cacao and how she got started on this amazing path. And it's a super beautiful story. I recommend listening to that episode if you haven't already. But since then, she's had a lot going on in relation to cacao with a K. And so I wanted to talk to her about it and share that with you. I wanted us to get together and talk about the Peace Tour that she has coming up, which is a really incredible global offer. And so today we talk about that Peace Tour, we talk about peace, the frequency of peace, which is very dear to my heart and so needed in the world right now. And we talk about the Plant of Peace Awa, the Hawaiin Kava. We also delve into the theme of cacao for the month of September. So Mackenzie has a different theme, a different blessing for the cacao every month. And September's blessing has been the theme of Shameless, releasing shame, a really big one. So we go into that and we talk about what that means to us. So keep listening to hear all about it. And if afterwards you want to connect more with any of the things we talk about here, there are several resources on Mackenzie's website. So you can go to the Fly Cacao website, which is flykakao.com, and if you click on the menu and then click on trainings and events, it's all in there. There's lots of information about the Peace Tour, some incredible cacao offerings, and also early on in our conversation today I mentioned the Awako tribe, who are a tribe in the mountains of Colombia, who Mackenzie has formed an alliance with this year. And the stories that she has to share behind that alliance are really incredible. And also the stories of the Awako tribe are being compiled at the moment. And there's going to be a YouTube playlist has been started to be compiled. And there'll be more added to it, I understand. So check that out because that's a really cool story and something that is evolving. So there's a lot there to look into and some beautiful wisdom and stories to listen to today. Thank you for tuning in to hear it all. And before we get into it, I just want to share a little bit with you about the actual cacao itself. Aside from the other offerings that Mackenzie has, it's all about the cacao, right? So the cacao from Kakao Drinking Chocolate. I like to say that my favorite cup of cacao is the one in my hands. It's a little expression that has been on my heart. My favorite cup of cacao is the one in my hands, in that moment, truly. I'm grateful for each and every one for the medicine and the gift that it is, and I love many different kinds of cacao. And in saying that, after years of working with cacao, there are a few that I always come back to time and time again that you could say are my favorites, and cacao with a K is definitely one of them. The frequency is next level. The devotion with which this non-profit company is run, the genuine care for the people on the ground growing and creating it, and the love for the people drinking it. And of course, the quality. It tastes incredible, and I feel amazing when I drink it. Highly recommend it. And there's also now a few different varieties on offer on the website from Peru and from Guatemala, including one from a Mayan priestess named Nana Marina. Some of you may know of her. And more recently, the Awako Cacao from Colombia. So there's lots of choice there. People ask me all the time which cacao to buy, and I say overall, whichever one you are attracted to. It's not really for me to say, as long as it's from an ethical company and is pure cacao, and keep trying them until you find your favorite. And honestly, I could do a whole write-up or episode on this subject. There's a lot to understanding what is pure cacao, but trust your instinct. But if you really do want a recommendation from me, this is a genuine one here today, which is Kakao Drinking chocolate. And I even have a discount code for you if you'd like to try it. If you want to purchase Cacao with a K, you can get a one-time 10% discount only on your very first purchase using the code Loved by Cacao when you go to the checkout on the website. Loved by Cacao, that is all caps, no spaces, and using Cacao with a C, like the name of this podcast. To make it easy as well, I also have a discount link which you can simply click on, and that will take you to the website with the discount embedded. So the link and the code are both in the show notes of this episode, as is the Kakao Drinking chocolate website. So have a look, and really feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about it at all. And I'd really love to hear it if you do try this cacao. Let me know what you think. Let me know how it feels. And a big thank you for purchasing if you do. This really helps to support the creation of Love by Cacao and also the amazing company of Cacao with a K. Mackenzie and I will both be so grateful, and we really know that you'll love it. So let's get into the conversation that we had today. Get yourself nice and cozy if you like, and I hope you have a lovely cup of cacao or maybe something else, or that you are enjoying whatever you choose to be doing while you listen. And I send you love and gratitude for tuning in. All right, here we are, back together again. Thank you, Mackenzie, for coming back.
I love these convos with you.
Yay, awesome. Yeah, it's exciting. I actually didn't think that we'd do this so soon again. I knew I'd have you on again at some point. I really wanted to. There was still so many questions I had, and yeah, I didn't think it would be so soon, but then I just felt really, really inspired when I saw your Peace Tour offering that you're doing soon. And so I really wanted to talk to you about it, and you kindly said yes. So thank you.
Anytime. I love our chats.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about all of that in a minute. I just want to welcome the listeners back, and maybe we can have a little drop in, and if you want to give us a wee taster of the Peace Tour, feel free, and thank you for for doing that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, for anyone listening, if you're in a place to close down your eyes, you are invited to do so, just to really receive a moment of presence with yourself and with your surroundings. Yesterday in my Hawaiian chanting class, my teacher, she's my female Hawaiian teacher on the Big Island. She said that ever since she was 3 years old, when she would chant, it was her way of coming home to her own energy field and to tune out the noise of what society expects of her and any pressure that was put on her. And I loved that. And so right now, let's do that together. It's coming home to our own sacred space, the sanctuary that is our vessel, our temple, our auric field. And take a few deep breaths. And that same teacher always loves to lead us through a practice called kulike. And essentially what it involves is honoring our feminine, honoring our masculine, and then honoring the oneness of self-reflective love. So let's also do that together. If you lift your left hand and just in honor of your feminine side, no matter whether you're a male or female or anything, just we all have this aspect of ourselves, this feminine energy. This is our intuition. This is our connection to the spiritual realm. This is the part of us that creates and dances and weaves and listens and so much more, nurtures, births, gives life. So taking that left hand now and placing it on your belly button or just below the belly button. And as you take a few deep breaths, you can repeat the words inside of your head. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe to be my authentic self. I am safe to be all of me. I am safe to be me, period. And then you can raise your right hand and just moving it in some circles, and let's begin to get present to our masculine side. The one that communicates the action, the orientation, the direction, the protector, and anything else that masculine means to you. There is no right or wrong way to describe these aspects of ourselves. I'm just giving some words to invite you into presencing yourself to these archetypes within you, these sides within you, so that we can honor it all. And then placing that right hand on your heart, which is the seat of the masculine. The heart is the seat of the masculine. And when we honor this, then we can put our heart into action in devotion to that deep feminine wisdom in the belly. Just taking a few deep breaths here. And let's welcome in the spirit of Cacao to join us in this space of integration, honoring this plant ally that has contributed to the creation of this podcast and that has certainly cultivated this connection here in our sisterhood, and just honoring the sisterhood and brotherhood of us all across the globe right now, this fractal line, those of us that are interested in growth and self-discovery, evolution, expansion, karmic clearing, and stepping into our highest essence. And then just uttering the words in your mind, aloha ma, aloha ma, aloha ma. Self-reflective love. And may this conversation be divinely guided by the purest frequency of love from Cacao herself, from Gaia, the spirit of the earth, and from our souls. May we speak from a space of truth and speak into truth, and may it really benefit all of you that are listening may it bring us closer to each other and really just to ground into connection, which is true currency. And it's what really, truly matters. Aho, and so it is. This space is open.
Aho. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Felt good.
Mm.
Feels good.
That felt so good. So good. Yeah, I kept thinking, I really want to encourage people, if they want more of that, to come to your tour and come and experience that live with you. Because that just felt like such a nice taster of the beautiful medicine that you bring in ceremony.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, yeah, and that was really nice for me. It really dropped me in after a busy morning. So, thank you.
I feel you.
I've got my cacao here in a glass. I thought it might be
gorgeous.
Yeah, I love it in a glass. It looks so nice. And when I
So
poured
pretty.
it, like you could see all the kind of movement happening when I first poured it. It was really beautiful. And then the foam settles on the top and
I
yeah.
want to take a photo of you right now. This is so cute. Okay, wait. 1, 2, 3. So good. Got it. I was like, wait, that's too good with the background and the cacao.
Yeah, so nice. And I've been really looking forward to drinking it. So I'm gonna drink it while we speak.
Yay.
But your cacao pure, chuncho. And yeah, and this background, I'm just house sitting right now, and there's a few dogs, so they're all sleeping. I think they're feeling the calm energy, but if there's barking, then don't be surprised.
No worries.
Happens occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna enjoy this cacao, and I've got like three, at least two, but probably three things that I want to mention and talk about with you, and anything else that you want to bring in. But you have had quite a few things going on since we last spoke, and and one of those was the amazing alliance with the Owako tribes coming through. And I don't think we'll go into that too much today because you already had a beautiful call, but I just want to encourage anyone who maybe didn't listen to that. Is the replay to that available publicly? I think you have it.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you go to my Instagram, there's a link in bio, and then that goes to a playlist. And that playlist, for the Arwaka playlist, that has the ceremony, the 2-hour ceremony, which is really special storytelling of how this came to life, and just introduces everyone to the behind the scenes, the different people involved. And then the second video in that playlist is a new 12-minute video of various Arwako interviews. And that actually, we're going to have another one in a few days coming out. So that playlist is going to keep getting built out so that people can continue to learn more and hear from the Arwaka tribe, which they're so excited about.
Awesome. Yeah. And that's amazing. I encourage people to tune in with that whole story. It's just the whole thing is incredible. Yeah. So we don't have to say too much more about that unless you want to. But can keep it mysterious. And if people want to know, they can go and tune in to your offerings. Yeah. And I can't wait to try the Oahu cacao eventually when it comes to New Zealand.
Same.
And so the main thing that encouraged me to say let's do this again is your peace tour, and that really resonates with me as a manifester. I love peace, and I mean, who doesn't, obviously, but peace is a word that I've been tuning in with a lot this year, and it's been one of my intentions with the podcast. Also, passion, peace, and passion have been my two words. And I'm often asking myself, how can I bring more peace into myself and into the world? And to see that you're doing a whole peace tour, I was just like, oh, It's so beautiful. And so I want to hear more about it and let people know that you're doing it. And yeah, just hear the story that behind the scenes that encouraged you to get this going. And I know some of it's linked with the Awa, or the Kava that you call Awa, and but there's so much more to it, I think. So let us
Yeah.
know.
Thank you so much for asking, because I'm still discovering what this peace tour is wanting to be.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, the big, big message that I received this year is that if we want more peace on earth, it starts with us. And we are the microcosm within the macrocosm. And I see this analogy all the time. I see things that are happening with the earth, with waterways, and us needing to have cleaner water. Well, I always look at that as an opportunity of how can I purify my inner waters? So
Mm.
it's the same thing. If we want peace on earth, it starts with our own consciousness and finding peace within. And then I started working very deeply with Awa. It's here in Hawaii spelled AWA, but it's actually pronounced with a V, Awa, and that is Kava. So most people know what Kava is, and Kava is actually considered the plant of peace.
Mm.
So it's been used throughout the Pacific Islands as the plant of peace and has a long history. I also have a whole free immersion on that on my website if anyone is drawn to learn more about Awa/Kava from a more ceremonial perspective. Yeah. So with that said, in my studies so far with the plant of peace, the first thing that I really heard was in order to have more inner peace, we need to address our attachments and also utilize death as a teacher. These are kind of deep and heavy, but it's the eclipse, so why not? We're going there. And there were other
I'm all for
codes
it.
that
Go there.
thank you, thank you. There were other codes that were coming through as it pertains to really cultivating peace. Because what does peace really mean? What does peace feel like? And I think the main thing that's shown up for me is that puts it in real context is asking, what do I need to do in order to feel peace when I die? So how can we, I'll say die, but I'll say, or transition. How can we actually transition in peace? And it opened up this contemplation and wondering how many people die not at peace because they are so unresolved and so incomplete in their life. Incomplete with people, incomplete with conversations, incomplete with their dreams. And they have actually, I heard recently from through a friend from someone that was working hospice who was just flabbergasted at how many people die holding on to anger and resentment, so unwilling to get complete with the people in their life that they die alone. And that's a real pandemic, and so I guess to lighten this up, the opportunity is to really look within ourselves, because this is going to be personal. This is going to be individual. This isn't moral and this isn't dogmatic. This isn't about right or wrong. And this isn't about anyone living according to any sort of principle. This is more about what does every individual person need to do, need to say, and need to get complete with in order to die at peace. Because it's only when we transition in peace can we actually evolve to the next experience. And that's a mystery, right, of what that is. But I've heard many people talk about how we're quite addicted to incarnating here in this experience. So you have to kind of have an open mind to think about, well, what's on the other side of this? And are there other experiences and other realms that we're going to be playing in and evolving into? Here in Hawaii, maybe some people listening have heard of Lemuria. Have you heard of Lemuria before? Okay. So what it's really called is Mu, ancient Mu, or Mu. So Mu, some people say it was a place or a civilization that sunk. But what it really is, as per my Hawaiian teachers, is Mu is a frequency. And the reason why it didn't sink, it disappeared, is because we weren't able to hold the frequency. So then we have the word Lemuria, which translates to the 4 chambers of the heart. And the 7 letters in the word Lemuria translate to the 7 sides of the heart. So what's interesting about this is that we are in a time right now where we are making corrections within our hearts in order to be able to hold the frequency of Mu again. And I don't know why this is showing up to share, but I think ultimately coming back to peace and creating the next experience, not just for ourselves, but for the lineages ahead of us. We have some work to do. And we need to be bold in getting on the phone, having those hard conversations, letting that shit go. We hate seeing war on the television. We hate hearing about children and mothers being murdered. We hate it. But are we willing to look at how divisive our own minds are? And are we willing to be responsible for the reality that our own minds are actually creating the war that we see externally? Insert the Peace Tour. The Peace Tour is not something that I am going around doing to teach anyone anything. The Peace Tour is just a bunch of ceremonies, or in other words, spaces where people get to drink kava and they get to drink cacao. And inside of that, they get to discover for themselves what inner peace feels like, looks like, and will require for their own individual soul journey. So my intention with the Peace Tour isn't as much to impart anything as much as it is just provide the space for people to connect with these medicines, these allies, these tools, such as kava and cacao. And then in them creating that relationship, as you and I know with cacao, what becomes possible for you, what becomes possible for everybody when we nourish that relationship and we listen and we receive the time to slow down enough. These plants have like a way of working on a very subtle level, and they can help neurological pathways click into place or restructure. And that's really interesting to me. So the last thing I'll share, the story of how the Peace Tour got birthed, was that I just heard that I had to do it. Like I just literally got told from whoever you want to say was speaking to me, like my guides, my soul, just the deep inner knowing that was like, you're going on the Peace Tour. And I had to literally change my entire schedule, cancel my trip to Brazil, communicate with all these people and who that was going to impact, and navigate those conversations and the logistics to then create what we're now seeing is going to be the Peace Tour. And so what's going to happen on the Peace Tour, the why of the Peace Tour, I mean, all of that is the mystery. And so I'm just in it. I am in the mystery. I'm hearing this is what you're doing, this is where you're going. And then it's been one step at a time to make it happen, to bring it to life. And it's been a collaborative effort. It's required a lot of surrender, trust, patience, faith. And we'll have to talk when I get back. I'll have to share like what even happened on that peace tour. But on the mainland USA, there's the election. So the election for the presidential election is this huge global, media heyday that is completely rooted in division and separation, hostility, opinion, judgment. Honestly, a bunch of bullshit. That's the shadow of conflict. It's the shadow of conflict, which the gift of that is diplomacy. And then the essence of diplomacy is peace. So what I'm excited about is to bring and cultivate the frequencies of peace and harmony and aloha. Aloha's breath. Yeah. So to cultivate those frequencies together in these different places of the mainland USA, LA, New York City, Minneapolis, Phoenix, San Francisco, these larger cities, if we can come together around that time that's normally divisive and heated and fiery, and I would say kind of a time of unrest, if we can come together and focus on community and connection, acceptance, compassion, and love and joy, and create beauty together, that's really exciting to me. So that's the intention.
Oh, wow. I feel like I was just like nodding the whole time. It's like, yes, yes, yes. And yeah, just really feeling all of that. Wow. And I love that you have invited other people to hold peace tours as well, to hold a peace ceremony or one or more around the world, because while you say that, all of that's happening in the US, we feel it even over here in New Zealand. People feel it and it ripples out. And so to be offering peace ceremonies all around the world, ideally, is a beautiful thing. So it's really cool that you're encouraging other people to do that as well. And I think you have them going on in different places. It seems like, well, the Cacao crew are doing that.
Yeah, I've had a good turnout for people that are wanting to host peace tour gatherings all throughout the world. And that's so exciting. I had gotten this unexpected news that didn't end up being accurate, but it was all a part of this whole journey. So I went to the vet with my cat, and they told me all of a sudden, like I wasn't expecting it, that she has cancer. She has this cancerous throat, like lump on her throat, that she could have 3 months to live. And it was just shocking for me in that moment, even though I had, of course, mentally been preparing because she's older. It just in the moment was quite shocking. And so I thought, okay, I'm definitely not going on this peace tour because I think these moments with her are precious. So throughout that week, I was just really sitting with the kava and making some powerful commitments and prayers, because my connection to my cat is my connection to this land here in Hawaii. So it was all very shamanic. And long story short, I just knew, like, okay, if I can't go on peace tour, the peace tour is still happening. And it was like this message, hey, you don't have to do this all on your own. It's all hands on deck. Get the crew together. Let's Because at the end of the day, this isn't about me
Mm.
at all. This is about the collective. And so it was great because it birthed this whole idea of, okay, I was gonna come in and tell you guys, look, here's what's happening. Here's what's going on with my cat. I can't leave. Will you guys step in for me?
Mm.
Well, then I went to a different vet, and apparently it had all been a false alarm.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. It was
That's wild.
crazy. So I spent a week mourning my cat, and then it was like, just kidding, she could live for a lot longer.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so
So
glad to hear
clear.
though that she's
Yeah.
okay. Phew.
Yes.
Oh.
Totally. So sweet. And
Mm.
yeah, and so the peace tour worldwide got birthed in that moment. And it also gave me
Wow.
permission of remembering it was a real invitation that truly this has nothing to do with me, my voice, my leadership, none of that
Mm.
bullshit. I'm not saying it's bullshit for everyone. We all have to find our voice. We all have to step up. We all have to trust ourselves. That's a journey.
Mm.
But when it comes to this medicine of the Awa and the cacao, I'm currently in a process where I am wanting to create more space for people to connect with the medicines purely with or without me there, you know?
Mm.
And anyway, that's awesome. That was one thing that got birthed from that interesting week. And the last thing I'll share is it wasn't like, oh, guys, like we all need to come together and do this peace tour. Like, this is so important. You know, it was like, I don't know. I don't know if it is, but what I do know is that we're all going to grow.
Mm. Mm.
When everyone that says yes to doing this is going to expand.
Mm.
Everyone that says yes to do this is going to come up against their own blocks, is going to come up against their own ability to receive love and connection. And this is the medicine we need. There's so much that can show up the minute you say yes to hosting a gathering like this.
Mm.
And above all, while I can't say the Peace Tour is going to heal the world, I can say that a night like that can offer some reprieve to someone or to all that come.
Mm. Mm.
We're not in easy times.
Mm.
I hate saying that because I'm all about creating with language. And yes, we can create a reality. Yes, we can create heaven on earth. However, I'm aware that the majority of people are feeling disconnected, lonely, uncertain, and afraid.
Mm.
We have more suicides across the world than ever. We have more anxiety and reliance on antidepressants and pharmaceutical drugs than ever. We have more drug addiction than ever. We have more divorces than ever. So, all that tells me is that people are really missing connection,
Mm.
myself included. I'm not immune to this. And so let's just be in connection. Let's come back together because this is going to heal our hearts. You know, this is going to heal us when we come back to connection. Then we learn we can trust. We can trust again. We can open again. We can soften. So that's really exciting to me.
Yeah. Wow. It's exciting to me too. It's yeah, it's beautiful and it's so needed, like you say, really. But I love how you said that it wasn't like, hey everyone, this is really important. We've got to do this. Like if you were sort of charging in going, we've got to bring peace to the world, like that doesn't feel peaceful. So it's like that might not be the right energy to do it with. And so it's beautiful how you can see that. And it's like it's an invitation to peacefully come and bring peace into these spaces. And
Love it. So
yeah.
true.
Mm. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. And I'm as I've mentioned to you, I'm wanting to offer a peace ceremony also. I just have to see if I can because I'm so nomadic right now that I haven't been able to pin down a location. So just staying open, we'll see. But it would be really
Yay.
nice to join in. Yeah, I'm hoping that
Love it.
everything comes together.
Well, thank you so much for your support and your contribution, even
Mm.
through this conversation. It means the world.
Well, yeah, it speaks to me a lot, and like obviously we all need these spaces of connection and I think it's so important any kind of coming together and with these medicines and it just adds a whole other layer to have that intention of peace and knowing that it's going to be like lighting up in lots of different places during those few weeks. It just makes my heart go, woo, light up.
Yay.
Yeah,
Same.
so
Same, same.
beautiful. Mm. So you mentioned the hour, and you're going to be offering that with the cacao. Like, do you typically
Mm.
drink them one after the other, or is it
Mm.
how does that work?
Yeah, totally, totally unique for the Peace Tour.
Mm,
Completely unique, completely an experiment. And it will be fun.
mm,
So, I've done it a few times, and essentially what we do is we start out with an hour of Awa. I go over the Awa, what is it, what's its history, how can it benefit you, and then we go into an Awa meditation. So
mm,
Awa is more of like a relaxant, and it really can calm the nervous system, kind of helps open the mind, gets you in the space of dropping in. So the Awa meditation will begin, and I will have some live musicians and different, people to contribute or some beautiful music. And then the second hour of the ceremony, we will serve cacao. So that cacao will be a space of really, opening our hearts and grounding even more, but also opening ourselves to connection and to the other people in the space and sharing what's shown up for them so far, just even in that first hour. So I do notice that they really contribute to each other and they kind of activate each other. The kava
mm.
makes the cacao stronger, the cacao makes the kava stronger.
Wow.
And there are a lot of people creating chocolate kava products right now
Okay.
because of that. There's a lot of synergy.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so there's like I actually sell a kava cacao honey.
Oh
It's
yeah.
you can spoon it, yeah. And
Amazing.
then there's chocolate kava bars, like chocolate bars now. So yeah, it's a fun synergistic thing that I'm experimenting with and I'm
Mm.
playing with. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, it's not something I've ever experienced. I've had kava like once maybe in my life, like back in my 20s, quite a while back, and I barely remember it. So I look forward
Hmm.
to trying that at some point. And
Yeah, well, it's just real quick that here in Hawaii, the Awa is known as a portal to the ancestors, right? So it's not something you do casually here in Hawaii, whereas other islands you do. Here, it's like high ceremony. It's used in council, it's used in conflict resolution.
mm.
So essentially, what I'm going to be teaching everybody at these peace tour gatherings is how to have a little Awa ceremony for yourself.
Mm.
And when you do that, you open up that portal to connect in with your council and your spirit team, essentially.
Amazing. Yeah, yeah. I really look forward to being able to sit with it at some point. Yeah.
Yay.
Either when it comes to New Zealand or when I come to Hawaii.
Oh, yes. You are welcome anytime, love. I would love to have you here.
I'd love to come. My dad grew up in Hawaii. I'm not sure if I've told you that, but
Oh, wow. That's amazing. What
yeah.
island?
So I have been Oahu. Yeah, so I have
Okay.
been I lived there for a little
Very
while. But
special.
that's a whole other
Oh,
story, but
amazing.
yeah,
So
I'll come
special.
back one day. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And this obviously this podcast is about cacao, but there's so many plants that are synergistic with cacao, and I love hearing the different ways that they merge and match up and that people use them together. And the different energies they bring through and all the lessons they have for us. So yeah, while I love to speak about cacao, it's the plant realm that really speaks to me as well. Um, so did you want to speak a little bit about, we're in September right now, and it's the Shameless edition. You have the theme every month for cacao, and that powerful one came through this month of being shameless or shifting the shame. And I really felt it when you announced that. I was like, oof, that's a biggie. And
It really
yeah,
is. Still
yes,
working on me.
me too.
Yeah, there's a lot of shame in the space, like of
Mm,
like our collective. And just personally speaking, just shame around being myself.
mm,
It's crazy, this I don't know what it is, but it's like whether it's conditioning, cultural, societal programming of you should be like this in order to get love or acceptance. And of course, trauma, little t trauma, big T trauma, like how our parents raised us. It all comes down to that of
mm,
how we were raised, right? So for me, it's been a journey of um, opening up to being my full authentic self and releasing the fear of what others would think. Because if I'm not being myself, then either I have people around me that like me for something I'm not,
mm.
or I'm blocking myself from receiving true love, like truly being loved for who I am.
Mm.
And I think the energy of shameless can be applied to any area of our life. So, like in our leadership, for instance, how many people have shame around their voice?
Yeah.
And
Mm.
I heard a brother recently talking about how when he first started recording videos, he sounded horrible. It just was so wonky. It was so awkward, but he kept showing up to it because he knew that he was never going to learn and never going to improve and never going to get better if he didn't practice and put himself out there. And so 10 years later, now he's, really has a lot of success in the realm of speaking and sharing wisdom. So same thing for me, as a manifester in human design, I have put myself out there quite a lot. And I found myself starting to feel shame around showing past aspects of myself. Almost like, oh my gosh, what if someone lands on my page and they see this past version of me? Or what if someone hears this podcast and they hear me say something that I don't actually relate to anymore? What if I say something and then change my mind, which literally happens daily? Because I am on such a journey of growth and discovery and exploration. I mean, honestly, I can genuinely tell you, I said something 2 days ago that I no longer agree with today. I just
Wow.
don't have
Yeah.
resonance with it because of I can have a dream or like a lucid dream or a downloaded meditation or something that just shifts that perspective completely.
Mm,
And so it's like, okay, so here's what I'm hearing about shameless is can we be shameless in giving ourselves permission to grow?
mm,
We don't need to be perfect. We don't need to say the perfect thing. We should surround ourselves with those that know we're on a journey of growth and we just give each other grace the whole time.
mm.
And we're just all figuring it out. As much as people and I have even wanted to think I have it all figured out, the more I learn, the less I really know. But then once you know that, you're like, well, how can I even show up as a leader? Because I know nothing, And it's like, okay, here's what this is about. I'm going to share when it's authentic, and I'm going to radically accept every part of my journey. And those that resonate will be here, and those that don't, it's okay. Shameless edition. There's so many realms in which we carry shame. I mean, I'd say the deepest one is sexually. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of ancestral shame. Yeah. Like, the one main thing that has shown up as a woman here in Hawaii is I have had shame for the color of my skin. Because of the history of Hawaii is that, the United States Corporation is now unlawfully occupying the Hawaiian Kingdom. And that has created a lot of division, a lot of resentment, and there's a lot of trauma within the Hawaiian community, within the natives, within the locals. And yet I have such deep love for them and their culture and their history, especially post the Lahaina fires here on Maui. But I noticed when I started showing up that I was really seen as an outsider. People were skeptical of me, and it just takes a lot of time to build trust and prove that you are there for the right reasons. But what that's brought up is shame for the color of my skin. And in that shame, I shrink, I play small, I don't speak out what I'm really thinking. I tiptoe and walk on eggshells. So it's been quite a journey for me. Honestly, it's been quite a journey of belonging, the notion of belonging, and coming back to just healing that original wound of separation. We aren't separate. We are all one. But we're in this experience in this realm where we're in an individual body. And so we buy into that we're separate. And when we buy into that we're separate, then we doubt ourselves. Then we feel like we have to prove ourselves. Then we walk on eggshells. Then we play small, or we're scared of what people will think. We're scared of getting rejected. So kind of coming back to the oneness edition of Cacao. It all ties together. It all ties together. So I don't know where you want to go with the shameless part, because it's a big one. And I think it's very personal.
It is.
If we could look at every area of our life where we have that twinge of shame, people will listen to their voice. They'll listen back to a podcast they did or a video, and they'll have shame around how their voice sounds. That's very common. I wonder why that is. And can we release that? I'm interested in that for myself, I'll say.
Yeah, well, you said a word that I think is very connected to it all, is the separation. And I think the thing that's so hard about shame is that it isolates us. It makes us feel like it's only our problem, and it's like, it's very like, it feels like everyone else is going to be judging us for that thing that we feel shame for. So we feel very alone with it. And yeah, maybe just the closest people might hear what it is, or then there's things that we won't even tell anybody sometimes. And so it's super isolating, and it just feeds into the separation. And that's why I felt like it's so powerful that you brought it up, because if we can heal the parts of us that we're ashamed of, then it releases that separation, and it helps us feel more connected, less like outside of community or connection, whatever it is, and gives us more courage, I think, to be able to go out and connect with people or create community. Shame can really, really hold us back.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you're right. It totally, it's like it's a very low frequency, and so it keeps us weighed down. Right? So when we can start excavating that, illuminating that by by simply how do we illuminate something, we speak it,
Mm, mm.
we share it.
The rain's just coming in. Hopefully it won't be too loud for us, but it's interesting.
I
We're
can't
talking
hear
about
it.
like clearing,
Cleanse
yeah,
away the pain,
cleanse the
the
shame,
shame.
please.
It's
It's
so
pouring
needed.
down. Yeah.
So needed. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that's really powerful, and it was really good timing for me. Like we had some things going on that um I can't really speak specifics because it affects other people, but there were specific things
Yeah.
happening in my life that had brought up some feelings of shame, and it was right around the time you announced it, and I was like, oh my gosh,
Wow.
such incredible timing. So I've been very grateful for that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think one thing that comes to mind that I can share on a personal note is something I've had deep shame about that I've healed over time is my anger. And it's kind of funny because in the last episode you and I recorded together, the first one, I had almost lost my voice because I'd had like a raging session just before it.
I love it.
And
Oh my God.
so I'd announced that. I'd said, like, I had this rage session with pillows, screaming it out. And
Hmm.
I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Like, that felt really cringe to me because of my shame around
Oh.
my anger. And learning about my human design has helped clear that shame so much, just knowing that manifestors can get angry. Quite, I mean, all of us can, but I think it's quite shocking when manifestors get angry because our natural state is very peaceful and it can just come
Mm.
out of nowhere. And I've had times in my life where my anger has just oof, like really shocked people around me and myself. And so it
Mm.
creates a blow up that has a bad ripple effect. And that's been really hard to deal with afterwards sometimes. And people are
Mm.
just like, what? You don't have anger issues because they don't usually see it. And so it's felt like something I've had to hide. And yeah, it's been really, really helpful to learn human design and to be like, it's okay, I can rage it out with some pillows. It's not going to bother anybody. And now like I know how to deal with it. So this has been one
Wow.
of my own personal
That's courageous.
things.
Thank you so much for sharing that, sister. It's really courageous for you to just share that and give voice to it. Because we all have deep, deep feelings.
Mm,
It's, when you're living a life of sobriety, people don't realize that to walk sober is so rare.
yeah, that's that's a good point. I hadn't thought about it like that. Yeah, you're not just covering up the emotion all the time, so therefore it comes to the surface
Right.
somewhat
Exactly.
frequently.
Yeah, because again, we are incarnated in these individual bodies, and it's heartbreaking. It's devastating. It is gut wrenching to be with some of the things that we have to experience or get to experience in these individual bodies. And it can get you to spring up. So that anger is so beyond you. It's so impersonal.
Mm, mm.
And that is your nervous system releasing as much as it possibly can so that you can keep going.
Yeah,
So it's just
yeah.
like you need that nervous system regulation.
Mm.
And the fact that you're doing pillow screaming, we just got to teach you how to do it from your stomach, not your throat,
Yeah,
so that
so
you
I
don't
don't
lose
lose
your
my voice.
voice. Yeah, yeah. Because someone once taught me that. I thought that was interesting. I'll show it to you some
Yeah.
other time. But you know, I am curious for you because I know that as a manifestor in human design, this can really relate to anybody. Okay. Like whatever your type is in human design. But for you, you mentioned like the anger can build up and then all of a sudden it'll be explosive. Is
Mm.
it something for you that like you weren't honoring yourself or honoring your intuition or honoring something along the way that then it led to that explosion? Or what was it?
Yeah, I think oftentimes it's when it feels like a boundary has been crossed, and either
I haven't respected the boundary myself and it's caused the issue, or I haven't been open enough about that boundary with other people, or other people have crossed the boundary. But sometimes it's just felt really like old, like ancestral kind of anger, like just deep stuff from like my mom and grandma, and just there's been moments where it's felt like that. Wow, it's really pouring down. Can you still hear me okay?
I can't hear the rain. I can just
Okay,
hear
good.
you. So that's good.
Phew. Um, yeah, I mean, and another way of releasing it, I found one day as I was making a big pile of compost, and I was composting my anger while I was making the compost. I had all these sticks and I was just like breaking them, and that felt really, really beneficial.
That's cool.
But that was a more ancestral kind of deeper anger. But definitely, I think it can be around boundaries or being interrupted. That's usually that doesn't cause such a blow up, but I find being interrupted really challenging. If I'm
Yeah.
like really in the zone. And yeah, I don't know if you've experienced that, but
Well, it's just your nervous system, right? Like you're focused on one thing and then it jars you. And then you can say, "Oh, that really made me angry," but really it's just an extreme you just feel jarred.
yeah.
And that jarring feeling then comes out as anger because you need to kind of like discharge the energy
Mm, mm.
or discharge the jarring charge. I don't know. It's just my way of and analyzing it. But yeah, I think it's good to have your own space as a manifester. And
Yeah.
I mean, I also like I love connection too. So
Mm.
it's that balance, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm always searching for the balance. Always playing with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, it's interesting to talk about that. And it's yeah, I'm gonna tune in with the Shameless edition even more because
Mm,
it's funny
me
how
too.
these things can like loop on themselves because I can see that later I might be like, oh, that feels really edgy for me that I spoke about my anger in a recording. And so that's another way of releasing that shame. So thank you for going there with me.
Yeah, because then the relatability too helps release shame, right?
Mm,
It's like think about in AA meetings for people that are alcoholics and all anonymous. I mean, I
yeah.
think the huge I've never been, but I'm assuming that them just talking about that, it just releases so much shame because there's relatability. Everyone is there connecting on this thing and they're able to give voice to how that's impacted them, how that's impacted their family, and they're just releasing the shame. And yeah,
Mm,
I'm just it's so important. I think for me, beyond the being white situation,
mm,
I find it I find that my work around this is going to be really in I'm just deconstructing some little t trauma and big T trauma around love and relationship. You know, I've
mm,
really internalized what people have said feminine means or what woman is, or, you know, really internalize that. And so now I'm just deconstructing that. So I'm like, wait, I just want to be naturally me. I just want to be naturally me. And um, I think that the more I commit to doing that shamelessly, the easier it's going to be in that mirror, you know, when that does come in my life. And eventually the somatics will hopefully, crossing fingers, get like the memory will be reprogrammed that, hey, it is safe to be you. But we can't reprogram our somatics unless we do it, unless we practice. You know, sometimes we just need the new memory, but that requires us to open up again. that requires us to put ourselves out there, right? And that takes work, that takes courage. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Amazing. Bringing in more authenticity through releasing the shame. And I'm glad you mentioned the somatics, because some of that shame stuff can be so deep that it's like in the body. I don't know if we can only think it away. We need to move it away and shift it and find the safety. It is related to safety, isn't it? Shame.
Yes, for sure.
Being safe in the body, especially if the shame is related to the body.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's for sure.
Wow. Powerful, powerful work. I love that you brought that through. And thank you for sharing it. It's huge medicine for me and for everyone else who tunes in with it.
Thank you, sister.
Yeah. So we have a couple more days of the Shameless edition, but I think people can tune in with that medicine anytime.
Yes, it's so needed. Yep.
Yeah, well, I kind of feel us coming to a close. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with listeners before we reach the end?
No, I'm just, feeling grateful for you and for this time we're in. I'm really in a space of letting go of how I think this world should look or should be, and just coming into full radical acceptance that we are in this divine play of exploring consciousness. And the more that I do that, the less significant things become in a good way. And the simpler things become, and the lighter things become. So I'm just really celebrating that right now. So just happy to be here with you. Thank you.
Me too. So grateful for these conversations. Yeah. And like you suggested, I'd love to hear how the Peace Tour goes in a few months.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Consider it done.
Amazing. And I wish you all the best for it. You know, may the angels be with you and carry you smoothly to each city. And
thank you.
May there be peace for you at each location. And I mean, carrying that attention, there's going to be for sure. So
thank you so much. I'm receiving that. It's a team effort, all hands on deck. So I'm receiving the support, the grace, the ease. Yeah, that feels good.
Yeah, amazing. I'm excited. And and just encourage people to tune in with it and go along to a ceremony if they can, if they happen to be in the same place as you or someone else who's running one. Do you have do you have a list of where they're being run or anything like that?
We're working on that. I have one for mine. I have a list for mine. And then we're working on a community one for worldwide.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Oh, so many blessings.
You too. Have a beautiful rest of your day. As always, it was so good to chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And just sending you off with lots of peace and love.
Yeah,
and to
you
the
too,
listeners
babe.
as well. Yeah. May we all find some peace in the rest of our day.
Yes, yes, yes. Cheers to that. Aloha.
Aloha. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for opening your heart here and listening today. Please subscribe to keep getting episodes in Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. And please share this podcast with your cacao loving friends. You can follow us on Instagram at Loved by Cacao. Please take care of your heart and may you feel loved.